Good evening. It is 6 o'clock, and we're going to proceed with the March 2nd meeting of the Wythe County Planning Commission. We're going to determine if we have a quorum, which we do, and call to order. And at this time, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And at this time, we'll open citizens' time. We have one visitor in the gallery, Mr. Tony Floyd. Would you like to address the Planning Commission?
Yes, please.
And just state your name and your address.
Tony Floyd, 4900 East Lee Highway, Max Meadows, Virginia. And I apologize, I did not write something up today. So I just want to speak on the new business item for the public forum that may happen in regards to that, and I do support that occur. And of course, be done at a convenient time, and ideally have time for one of those forums to occur on a weekend, Saturday, to accommodate folks that may not be available to attend during a weekday. And I just wanted to make that a point that not everybody is available during a weekday. So just wanted to make that clear, and I wanted to also get further clarification, and Mr. Hankins, you might be able to clarify later, is that I wanted to know if the draft that is being presented, does it have to be rejected by the board once it goes for a vote in order to come back to make those further modifications or recommendations or take feedback you guys receive from the public? When does that occur, and what does that process look like? So people, when they show up to these forums, if they do occur, is it just for educational purposes for them, or is it really you guys receiving constructive feedback that may be used to further revise a land use ordinance? And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll observe the minutes of the prior meeting at this time.
I read them. They were okay with me.
Yeah, I read them too. They were fine.
I moved to approve the minutes as written, sir.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Everybody will say an aye or nay.
I
The meeting minutes have been approved for February 2nd, 2026. And our next item up from the agenda is new business, public forums for land use classification ordinance discussion. And I'll entertain staff to fill us in on what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've had considerable discussion. We're pretty deep into this process. So we've been working on the land use classification ordinance for quite some time. The Board of Supervisors, at your request, has been discussing how to move forward with engaging the public and getting ideas on whether folks like the proposed ordinance that you've recommended to the board, or considering any changes that may come about as part of that public engagement. So the process that we've asked the board to endorse is moving forward with some public forums, starting with most likely Fort Chiswell High School, March 30th. It's a Monday night. We are going to the school tomorrow. We've been working with them for a few days now. Lisa's been trying to get a hold of the right folks, so we're going down to pick out the space that we're going to use and make sure that it's available on that date. These will be meetings where the board and the planning commission will both be asked to attend. They will not be advertised as official meetings, so it's not something you're going to have to call to order and then adjourn out of. But it will be advertised that planning commissioners and board members will be there to listen to the public and to take comments and to engage in the process. We are still designing that process, but it's most likely that we're going to put some questions, or at least the opportunity for folks to submit questions about the proposed ordinance on our website and through our social media, so that we can sort of design, we don't want to do a lengthy presentation on the draft ordinance, but enough to explain what's going on, what the origins are, and why it matters. So if we can get some of those questions ahead of time, address those questions as part of a brief presentation from staff, and then give folks the opportunity to look at the maps, look at the ordinance, ask questions to staff about the ordinance, write down any questions that they may have. If we can't answer it right then, we'll get back to folks. So as we design that process, we'll be getting that out to you as well, so that folks who ask you, that you've got answers that you can share with them. So that's essentially it. Our next thing is to finalize the location, make sure that it's available. If not, we'll look at the same sort of setup, probably at Rural Retreat, if we can't get the building at Fort Chisel. But we thought we'd start in the east and work our way west. So as far as dates and times, the only one that we know for sure is the March 30th date. Mr. Barrett threw some options out at our last board meeting. Some of those won't work. So we'll probably be going into April, May, June. This is not a process that has to be rushed. So we'll give folks plenty of opportunity to provide their input. In regard to Mr. Floyd's question from the podium, you have recommended to the Board of Supervisors that they adopt the ordinance. So it is up to the Board of Supervisors to accept that recommendation, to amend it if they so wish, to send it back to you for further consideration, or to reject it. Those are pretty much the options. So unless somebody else sees one that I don't. But like I said, we're pretty far into this process. This is a light touch ordinance. It is one that very much respects property rights, that lets most folks do what they are doing now or want to do with their property without having to come before the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors for any sort of zoning change or special exception or special use permits. We recognize that people here very much want to do what they want to do with their properties, and we are really just looking to minimize the conflicts that happen when you have incompatible uses go next to one another. So, be glad to answer any questions that you've got or any feedback that you've got about the process. But that's it for staff.
So on March 30th, what was the time again?
I think we're going to try to plan for 6. Try to give folks enough time to maybe get a bite to eat and get there. Generally, I'd like for these to be less than 90 minutes. That's a lot of time, especially the more people we have there who are talking, collecting questions, having conversations with people who are interested, the faster it'll go. And like I say, I don't want it to be a real long presentation, in large part because I expect you'll probably want me to give it. But I think, we've engaged with, in particular, the Farm Bureau. I think Mr. King was there. I think I did about 10 or 12 minutes that evening. Mr. Bear did 3 or 4 minutes. Just explained the impetus for implementing a land use classification system, and gave folks the opportunity to ask questions. And we didn't get a lot of questions that night, but the Farm Bureau did ask that we return, and we'll be glad to do that at a time that's convenient for the Farm Bureau board. So there are bound to be other folks that want to hear from us in civic type settings. So if you've got a club or a group or a church that has a particularly strong interest in this that we can go and sit down and talk to, be glad to. Just let us know how to connect with those folks.
Is a copy of the draft, is it out there for people to look at?
Yes, sir. It's on the website,
Okay.
Along with the draft map. I think there are a couple of other collateral pieces. As we finalize this, we'll add a flyer to that page, that web page, so that folks can share it, circulate it, get more information. And we have items that scroll through on our front page of the website. I think it's the second item that comes through in that scroll, so it's pretty easy to find.
Can y'all see how many people are looking at it?
We can. We have analytics, so we can get some idea of interest. There's been mild interest so far.
That we need to know our next meeting, that how many people are looking at it from one month to the next.
We can do that. I can tell you that it is nowhere near the interest that we have had about either the canneries, which Allison provided me with the analytics this morning. We had over 92,000 people engage with the Facebook post over the canneries.
Where did that come from? We don't have 90,000 people.
87% of them were not followers of our page, so that makes sense. But who knows how these things are going to perform. The Liberty at the Lake, its first weekend, we had over 62,000 people engage with that post. We've had nowhere near that level of engagement on land use classification.
So they want the cannery fixed and they like the fireworks and don't care about the land classification.
They care
as of now.
They care less about land use classification. We'll see if we can engage and change that some.
Any other discussion on this?
Yes, sir.
If not, we'll go to the item 6, old business. And our 2026 meeting dates and times. Copy of the calendar is attached, and the bylaws, and the DHR request was approved, and our capital improvement plan was final and went to the board on February 2nd.
And I believe the board was unanimous in approving both your bylaws changes and the capital improvement plan.
Yes.
If nothing else, we'll go to our subdivision ordinance report, and I'll defer to staff at this time.
Douglas and Dane Southers recently subdivided their property located along State Route 669, Windy Hill Drive in the Black Lake Magisterial District. This family division created one new parcel and one revised parcel. New Tract 2 is 1.007 acre parcel to be conveyed to Aiden Birkenstein, their granddaughter, and Tract 1 is a 21.41 acre residual parcel. All parcels will be utilized for residential purposes and all will be served by public water and private sewer, and this plat was recorded February the 12th.
Any questions for staff? If there's nothing else, we'll go to the coming events.
Oh, I have one more plat. Sorry. This is another family subdivision. Teresa Mabe recently subdivided her property of 43.392 acres located along State Route 627 Archer Road in the Fort Chiswell Magisterial District. This family division created one new parcel and one revised parcel. Lot 1 is 2.417 acres, and that is to be conveyed to Parker Harrison Mabe and Jessica Lynn Mabe, that's a son and daughter-in-law. Lot 2 is a 40.975 acre residual parcel. New Lot 1 will be utilized for residential purposes, and Lot 2 will be utilized for agricultural purposes, and all will be served by private water and private sewer, and this plat was recorded February the 19th. And that's all my plats.
Yeah, I got to reading that item D, family subdivision recorded Southers, then Blacklick in May before it shows I missed the Mabe.
That's okay.
I know I looked at it yesterday and got ahead of myself. And if we're finished with the subdivision report, we can continue on with our coming events.
We do have one item that needs to be added to that. The Board of Supervisors' budget presentations are the 16th, 17th, and 18th of March. That's the opportunities for all the departments to come in and talk about their budget needs for the coming year with the board, as the board works to finalize the budget. Budget-wise, it's, there's always more asked for than we have available, so the board has hard choices to make when it comes to managing the cost and setting the priorities for the county. But this is the opportunity for every department, every agency that the county funds to come in, request, or at least make the case for why they need the funding that they're asking for. And despite what Mr. Burnett or other members of the board may tell you, I am not entirely responsible for everything that's over budget.
Will you send us an email when that March 30th date is confirmed? And location, okay.
We picked that one because it's the fifth Monday. We don't have any other board meetings or regularly scheduled meetings in that fifth week. So it made sense to try to pick a week when we weren't already asking for time commitments.
Now, are you wanting all of us, our board members, to come to that or not, or?
I'd certainly request it. I understand, you may have already something scheduled or have conflicts, and nobody's going to judge you for that. But if you can be there to.
If you have all supervisors, is that not considered a meeting?
It's a meeting, but they're not going to call it to order. There's not a formal board agenda that day, so we're going to advertise it as a majority of planning commissioners and a majority of members of the Board of Supervisors may be in attendance. That way we're legally covered. There are other localities, it's not a requirement, but other localities will say the majority of our boards will be together in one place, even if it's for a ribbon cutting or that sort of thing, just to cover all the bases. We like to be transparent. So.
Good done. What's next, Mr. Chairman?
The next is the county engineer report.
Okay.
Mr. Kinzer.
Here we got too many sheep down there grazing all the grass off.
What?
Said you got too many sheep at Foster Falls.
I can vouch for that.
Can you?
It's behind my house.
Haven't got loose come on your property, have they, ma'am?
No, they got too much of a fence up, but there are issues with drainage, there are issues with noise, and there are issues with lights.
Okay.
This is Bob Melton's pond. If you remember, he had to rebuild it. He's got it looking good again. His outfall is on his property now, not right here at the fence. So he's done a really good job down here. It looks really nice. I hope he's satisfied with it. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but he's already got the aerator back in. Cody's got his little dock in there. So hopefully it satisfies DEQ as well.
So we can go fishing sometime. I'll have to hit Bob up.
This is between lot 2 and 3 out of Progress Park. I think I've already showed you this maybe, but they finished it up. They still got to stabilize it. They're getting inspected this week from DEQ branch, so hopefully they'll get that fixed. This is the down slope of that, so now these two were different elevations. This was 3 and this was 2, and there's a slight grade in between now, but they connect. So that's what Stephen wanted. Apparently they had somebody that wanted both tracks, but they wanted to piece them together, so we got that done. This is the VDOT project, the connector road into Progress Park. This is the cul-de-sac at Ely Trinkle. And you can see VDOT's getting closer and closer. They've got a lot of materials laid down.
What was the time frame for that to be completed?
Sometime next year.
Next year, is what I thought.
This is the same cul-de-sac. This is the same cul-de-sac. This is backside of Gatorade. Their contractor, got a new contractor. We have updated all the permits, so they're ready to go. They'll probably start this week. I think I showed you the bad ties. These are the replaced ties on the railroad track at Progress Park. So you can see the ties are in a lot better shape. And from the side, they look really good. The ties that were there were in really bad shape. So that little project got finished up.
10 years or better of lifespan?
I would say so, yeah, probably more. It depends on the grain of the wood. You know, wood's really unpredictable. This is up on,
Old ties that were still usable went to Rural Retreat Lake.
That's-
yes,
I seen that.
the old ties were taken to Road Retreat Lake to use at the campground.
Okay, good.
This is going up Barrett Mill Road. The water line they're continuing in bad weather. This is, I forget their name, Crystal City or something like that, Classic City out of Atlanta and Charlotte. So they're still going across the mountain to try to tie into Hill and get everything else tied in. I think they've been charging the water line. I know they had a leak, so hopefully some of those people up there that are hauling water get the water pretty soon.
So you're getting water to people who have to haul water.
Yeah.
Okay, that is very not good.
You can see they're doing pretty good on erosion control. Some places not so good, but the weather's not been helping them out either. So they've been using matting on these banks, so we've been sending them reports. They come back and fix everything. They're doing pretty good, but the weather's hurting them. They've been putting matting down on here because you can't get grass growing this time of year, but they'll switch that up pretty soon. You can see these areas they've stabilized with straw. Let me go back one. These areas they stabilized with straw and seed, but they won't start greening up until maybe next week. And this is where you start coming out to hit 21 here. Their inlet protection leaves a little bit, it's not the greatest in the world. We've been working with them on that. I'm sure VDOT's been beating them up too. They do have some fire hydrants and valves in. They're supposed to cover those up because they haven't been charged yet, and people like Matt will try to hook to them and put out a fire. And we get help occasionally from people backing into spots. Most likely that's Rick Stoneman backed in there for us. He's doing the inspection. This is where you come out on 21. This is that little valley right there. You can see they put their inlet protection on that big pipe that goes underneath Barrett Mill Road. went up to Rural Retreat Lake the day that we dumped the ties off up there, and we had had some really warm days, but the lake was still frozen. And somebody tell me why it's cracked right there. It is pretty neat, though.
Temperature gradient.
Huh?
Temperature gradient. Shallow will run that in.
It could be.
Yeah.
We've been working up at Rural Retreat. This is Camrent Logistics, right behind the old Chris Manufacturing Plant, which is now some kind of outbuilding manufacturer. They get water in their building. They really need some maintenance. We're working with the Chris Manufacturing folks, which is the building folks, to try to put in stormwater. They went in and gravelled a lot. They're graveling that lot is not the only cause. Some of these drains they have next to their building down there is not the greatest in the world, but we've been working with Camrent Logistics and Jeremy Miller, and he's the contractor working for the old Chris Manufacturing place people. But some of their downspouts are, you can see they're not working. They're pulling dirt down with them. And it's really flat back there. So a lot of their downspouts gets eat up by a weed eater. Uncovered, so something uncovered, so most likely it's water. You can see the grade here. The water runs right into the building, floods the building. So we're trying to work with both sides to get some stormwater management out there and some diversions. This is down at Foster Falls. The solar panels you can see are, for the most part, all pointing the same direction. They've mostly stabilized. The way I understand it, the BESS battery system has been put on hold.
Yes.
Their stormwater management ponds are still looking pretty good. They've got these tanks out here. There's no water on this site, so they're watering these sheep with some tanks. They're bringing in, which is kind of risky in my opinion, but
It's probably the same guy who's gonna do it upon the mountain there overlooking there.
yeah.
I'll haul it in.
And they got some strange gates. I don't really understand this, but they look like some kind of medieval gates. I'm assuming that's to keep the deer out or keep the deer in. I think I saw more deer than I did sheep. But you can see their ponds. The DEQ made them put riprap all the way to the road, which I don't quite understand that, but that's what they made them do. Their ponds are still in pretty good shape. They still have their 4 bays in on both sides, you can see. And they converted them to stormwater ponds. So if you remember, they used to have, well, let me go back. All these outlet pipes now there's only one outlet. So the rest of them have been plugged. So this is the same pond. It only has one riser pipe. So this pond will hold a lot of water during a rainstorm. This is where all their offices and everything was, and I think that's where the BESS system is supposed to go. So it's still stabilized with gravel. Apologize, but these pictures are kind of dark, but it was really bright that day, but maybe that was an issue. The big difference between this solar site and the other one is all the panels point the same direction. I think that's a good thing too. The other site's continuously being worked on.
Well, they're 3 years into that site and they're still working on it.
Yeah.
Goodness.
And these panels are gigantic. I think they're 480 watts each. I mean, they're big panels. That's one of the transformers. And there is deer everywhere. I think we encountered 3 pretty good sized herds of deer down there. Oh. So deer or sheep, one are eating the grass. There's some of the sheep. They wasn't as skittish as the deer were. You really couldn't pick them out down in these little canyons. I think I took that by mistake. Deer down here, or sheep down in here. So there are, once you get to see them, there are quite a few sheep down there. There's a couple that are black ones. They're lambing too. That's the other side. They don't have sheep on that side right now, but they're getting ready to bring sheep in for this side. It's over next to that 765 kV line. Of course, this is going back out. You see some black ones, and they're all underneath the panels.
Has their battery plan already been approved, or will they have to bring it back to the planning commission for approval?
Say that again?
Has the battery plan already been approved, or will they have to bring it back once they?
It has been approved, but it's not an indefinite approval. So there's a time limit on it. I'd have to check and see how long that approval is good for.
And the other question, like, they have lights on at night, and they are very bright lights. There's like 3 or 4 that point right directly into the back of my house. So I have to keep the curtains closed because of how bright the lights are, even from where they're at. And one of the neighbors, I don't know if it's been addressed, had drainage issues coming off the hill there on Castleton Road. That was several months ago, and I can tell you it emits a noise that is piercing if you have good hearing, and there's times that I go in because of the piercing noise that comes from it.
I know the transformers do make quite a bit of noise.
It's pretty bad.
I'm not aware of the drainage issue, but I can check into that.
Okay.
The lights, I wasn't aware that they had some lights. I don't know that we have a light ordinance. Do we have a light ordinance?
I don't think we do. I'd have to check.
Okay.
It shouldn't shine off your property on someone else's property, should it?
Generally not.
That's what I would think.
Most localities that have a light ordinance, it's supposed to be maintained on your property.
Well, we have a drone show at least once or twice a week with it too.
You get it all, huh, Susan?
Yes, unfortunately.
I ran into another herd of deer there, and like Matt was questioning at one time, he said, I thought all the animals were supposed to be run out, and I think they were, but somehow they've gotten back in there, and there's a lot of them. More of the sheep down at the end. There's some grazing along the bank.
If they graze too much, who's in charge of telling them to get them off? Y'all or DEQ?
Well, if they start causing erosion control, we can.
Okay.
If they have erosion problems. They have some issues in there now that they're repairing where the sheep have walked back and forth through it in one spot. So they were back in there repairing that. But they have a maintenance crew that comes, they have a permanent maintenance crew, the way I understand it, and then they have a maintenance supervisor that is supposed to be managing one site, but I think he's managing about 3 right now. So he came from Halifax or someplace up here to meet with me. But their bond is what controls our permit, and right now their bond is out. So they've got everything stabilized. They're getting ready to ask for the DEQ termination, but they're kind of in limbo because the best site was permitted with this for stormwater and erosion control. So they're waiting on to see if that goes through or not before they terminate everything.
They're probably trying to get more government funding, I'm sure.
I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
And that's just a picture from Foster Falls Road back at it. It's a big site. That's all I have. Y'all got any questions? And if you can tell me where that Castleton Road issue is, I'll go check on that.
I will.
Turn me
Thank
off.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Kinsert. And our next item will be our ex officio report by Mr. Burnett.
We have budget meetings coming up, middle March. And we got a few things that came up that we'll have to be addressing. And, but other than that, we'll work on it as we always have and see where we can come up with, all the budgets from. On the, zoning, for the most part, our thought process on that is we'll have as many meetings as it takes to get to the communities. Just in case some people think it's just going to be one or two or three, it's going to be as many as we need to fill that out to get as much community input as possible. For that. I just wanted to clarify that for y'all, just in case y'all was wondering what the board's thought was on that. Or if anybody asked y'all, it's like, how many of you are going to do 3 of them? It's like, no, we're going to do as many as needed to, and for, because like Mr. Hankins said, we're not feeling a big push to get this done. We're still watching bills up in Richmond that, will have an impact on this. I don't know the numbers of them. You know, you got House bills and Senate bills, but we're watching some of those to see how they affect land use. And the other thing we've been trying to do is we still have several acres along the frontage road around Hitachi Arena, and we've been trying to market that, and we're getting ready to put up a billboard so that hopefully we can attract some businesses to come in and develop that area. And that's about all I have. Unless y'all have any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Burnett? Well, I got to thank you. Thank you for the board and getting the cannery back in working order.
Well, you're very welcome. I know I've had a lot of people come up to me in particular and say that we've been trying to get rid of it for years, and I was really quick to say that is absolutely not the case. And I talked to numerous other board members that had the same feeling, and so I don't know exactly where that rumor comes from. We're also looking for funding to build us a new cannery somewhere. So that's also an option on the table. If we can, you know, hopefully if we could find some funding, that would be awesome. And that way we maybe can get it away from the area that it's at into a more favorable area and into a newer location.
Well, if you got 92,000 people looking at it, you probably need more than one cannery.
That's telling you something, man.
Well, I think that's the surrounding counties. I know the last couple of years, my wife and myself and family had to go to Bland, to either go to Ceres or Mechanicsburg, and
Yeah.
I don't think Pulaski has one.
Carroll County has one.
Carol does.
And
I think it'll all be good.
I don't know
we
if
get
Smith
that- we get
County
it
has
fixed
one.
up. I mean, the regulars will come back, and hopefully the old people will teach the younger people how to process everything, so it's a continuing process. I think it's a good thing.
It's impressive to me to see how many people was concerned about the cannery and how many people in the county use the cannery, and also the library services. That's, you know, you wouldn't think that a library would be as important as it is to the county and the communities, but
Yeah.
I get a lot of phone calls on either one of those.
Now, most of the money you got for that, was that grant money, or was that money from the county, or?
We're searching for the boiler. We got a grant for that, didn't
We
we?
got a grant
We
for
got a
it.
grant from the AFID program with the states. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, AFID.
Yep.
A little over 50,000
Right.
to
And-
support a new boiler.
And then we added the rest that we needed. And then, and we're continuing to look for funding for a new site. You know,
How much was it gonna be to fix it total?
The boiler will get it back up and running, is my understanding. So the 50,000 plus,
I think it was 65.
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay,
don't remember
I just was
the
curious, was it double that or something? Okay,
It was
well,
in our
good.
last board package, if you need
Okay.
to know exactly.
No, no,
you know.
I just
But
was curious,
I'm
was it,
thinking it was 65,000 is what we
Okay.
approved for that. But don't rely on my memory.
well, now, you're probably fixing something that was, that original?
It was old.
From the 90s, early 90s.
Okay, so we're looking 30 years old or better, yeah.
So, it's young. That's right.
I'll agree with that.
You can't get an antique tag yet.
Any other questions for Mr. Burnett? If there's no other questions for him, we'll go to the Deputy County Administrator report by Mr. Hankins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got just a few things. You all usually ask about a broadband update. Got one this morning from citizens. So they've been through it, just like the rest of us have with winter weather. They went through several weeks where they couldn't work. If I could walk on the ice and not break it, don't bother going out to work, work the ground. But citizens reports that they have been able to complete Little Reed Island Road, including Diamond Lane, Mountain View, Red Maple Lane, and Old Tram Road. And then they report that they've got in progress Mabetown Road, Walton Furnace Road, Gardner Road, Major Grams, Dry Pond, Beetle Spinner, River Hills, Woodland, River's Edge, Water View, and Old Cabin, all those off of Beetle Spinner. So they're making progress. They're working their way west. They have, I think, 3 crews working now, and they're expecting to double that in March. So they anticipate they'll be able to take advantage of the weather and make some progress. And it looks like it's going to be some nice days to work later this week. So hopefully they can speed things up. Any questions on broadband?
Is Point Broadband working in the town limits?
Point Broadband has a presence in town, so if you've seen
Because
trucks
I seen
out,
someone working today, the reason I asked that question.
they've got fiber laid throughout, not throughout town, but, along the major routes through town, so.
Okay.
They've got to maintain their system, and they've got everything mainly west of town, that's in their service area. So even though they didn't finish the eastern portion of the county, they're still in the county and they're still serving customers here.
So Citizens hasn't got on the east side of 94 yet, right? They're coming that way.
They're coming that way. They still haven't reached the EMS station on 52. We're looking forward to that. We've got some improvements that we'd like to make there. Several of those areas that we really want them to get to, but they've just got to build in their plant before they can reach those areas. And they are up to Archer. They've worked on Archer and maybe done with Archer at this point. So they're working their way up 52.
Our speed went up the other day to 500. So it's extremely fast. It's very good. Nothing but good things from me.
When it gets done, it'll be a welcome addition to the county, so everybody have high-speed internet, so kids can do their homework and people can do everything else they want to do.
Right. Be a part of the modern economy. I'll leave it there. Our EMS inspection has been done. Our agency has been in place for not quite 2 years, so it's time to re-up our inspection. Just went through an Office of EMS inspection, and our folks passed with flying colors. They had one item that they requested that we add a vehicle usage policy item, so we're going to add that to our HR policy. So Chief Greg Frazier and Captain Lindsey Jackson did a really nice job on that inspection. So I'm proud of them and like to tell folks when I'm proud of my staff. So the Liberty at the Lake event, we've got several departments that are working on that. It's a Parks and Rec function, but emergency services, public information, buildings and grounds all have a role in getting the facility ready. And we've got the fireworks contract ready to be finalized. Should be able to finalize it this week. And I think we're going to open it up if there are some sponsors that want to support what we're doing, that sponsors be able to come on. So we're trying to get that finalized as well. And again, that festival is July 3rd through 5th. Our fireworks will be on the evening of the 3rd. We're going to have several concerts, movies, a lot of games. I think there's a disc golf tournament and a few other fun things that'll go on that day. So we're still trying to finalize all that, but it's going to be nice to have an event that big at the lake again. We built that into the lease when I finalized the lease with the state 3 years ago, and we've got staff now that wants to take it on and make sure this is something that we can all participate in and be proud of.
Didn't the DNR, they wouldn't let us, the county, do fireworks for several years, or?
Well, we can't shoot fireworks on their property. We can shoot fireworks on our property, and we're going to shoot the fireworks from the old fairgrounds. The fireworks contractor has been out, looked at the site, determined they can do it safely. It's all biodegradable material, so it's not going to hurt any fish in the lake or anything like that. Might make things loud for 20 or 25 minutes, but we're happy to do our part to make sure it's environmentally friendly and that it's still something we can be proud of and enjoy. We're expecting our new computer-aided dispatch system to go to effect in about 5 weeks. They're finalizing the build on that now. We'll be doing training in the middle of the month and go live around the middle of April. So that's been a long time coming. That'll streamline a lot of our processes and make 911 calls shorter, as we're able to work through those call progressions. Did want to mention, we had a meeting of the Emergency Services Commission a couple of weeks ago, and the Department of Forestry wanted to come and attend and share some things with us. One of the things I thought you might be interested in, the Department of Forestry anticipates that they're going to do a controlled burn of approximately 350 acres in Big Survey sometime this spring. When they let us know when that is, we'll let folks know, but that's the sort of thing that gets a lot of attention. The last big burn that they did, I think, was around 1,000 acres down along the Grayson line, close to Speedwell, and we had calls for several days about the smoke and the fire. This is the sort of thing, because of its prominent location, it'll get attention. So we'll let you know when that is. I shared with the board the Bristol Transportation District Regional Improvement Commission, which is the one that divides out the shares of the casino gaming tax proceeds. They elected me as chair at our regular meeting February 12th, and I'll hold that position for the next year. As Mr. Burnett said, there are some things going on in Richmond, some affect us positively, some affect us negatively. The bill that would we've been afraid of for several years, that Mr. Dunford in particular has brought up the last couple of years, the one that would reduce the local say-so and land use controls for things like solar farms. That bill has passed in a much modified form. We're still looking at it. It's a lengthy document, but it doesn't say that we can't stop something like that from coming in, but we are supposed to report it when we deny a solar project. This is a new reporting process. I think it goes to DEQ. So we're waiting for the bureaucrats in Richmond to tell us how that's going to work after the governor signs the bill, which is pretty likely. One of the other things is local option sales tax for schools. So the Board of Supervisors could ask by ballot at the general election if The public wants to support a local 1% sales tax that would go to support school construction and school debt. That would be a much faster way of bringing our schools up to modern standards, doing needed repairs. There's the next new school, the school board has said is their priority is adding a new Spiller Elementary on the former Scott campus, tearing down the non-historic portions of the Scott campus and building a new school there. Obviously much more room there than at the current Spiller campus, and it's the largest elementary school in the county. But there are plenty of other needs, and the board members I know have been getting calls from folks who have seen the capital improvement plan and wonder why their local school is not higher on the list. That's because the school board has set its priorities. Here's what they expect to do next. But we know that, we could invest a significant amount in all of our schools and still not probably have it exactly where we want it to be. So, the board will have the opportunity, again, if that passes, and it's probably a better than 75-25 shot that it passes. The board would have that option to give that to the voters and see what the voters want to do.
Now, does that include the town of Wytheville too? I know on the meals tax, it's the town separate and the county separate.
This would be a local countywide 1%
So
sales tax.
including every restaurant in the town of Wytheville.
Yep.
I said if it's just gonna do the county, that's not that much revenue.
Well, to be able to raise that much revenue would be a significant increase in the real estate tax rate. And I think we'd all rather keep our property taxes low if we can.
But you catch all your convenience stores too now. All those gas pumps and all the things around the county, you catch a lot of stuff there.
There would be a significant contribution to that from out-of-county folks.
Out of state.
So a lot of folks who stop at our truck stops and convenience stores as they're passing through, it would contribute significantly to our local effort, which means as local taxpayers, we'd have to put less effort into it.
Any other questions for Mr. Hankins?
Where are you with 911 dispatch personnel? Is it
We're
calm down?
really, really close, and every time we get close to full employment, we have somebody that gets a new job or somebody that has a baby, and we wind up losing one or two. We, I believe, are at 18 out of 22 positions budgeted, so we're getting really, really close. We can cover the shifts now, but when vacation season gets here and, we have people to start taking their annual leave, it gets harder to cover those shifts. So if we can get to the 22, we can be in really good shape. There is some possibility, depending on how the budget goes. The sheriff's office would like for their warrants to be included in dispatch. They have a separate warrants office now. It's the sheriff's office dispatch that handles processing the paperwork. And so they would like for that to be a dispatch function. And so if the Board of Supervisors agrees that they're amenable to that, then the sheriff would transfer his positions to the 911 center. And so we would wind up getting some extra positions there. But doing the warrants is significant work. So there's still going to be plenty of work for everybody to do.
And, thinking about the 4th of July celebration coming back to the lake, has there been any discussion about a county fair, reviving a county fair?
Nothing serious yet. I think that is something that is on the horizon. Certainly something that I think we'd like to talk about. Fairs are good opportunities for the community to come together because it is more of a local thing. You're not really expecting a lot of out-of-county folks to come in for that sort of event. But we have the fairgrounds leased out to the Antique Tractor Club. So, there would have to be, if it's going to be on the old fairgrounds, there would have to be some modification to that lease. Or, if there were a private partner, that wanted to do it somewhere. I know at some point, some people have suggested that maybe at the Hitachi Arena that, you could do a county fair set up there. If there were private partners that wanted to do that, we'd certainly look at that as an option. I'm a sucker for a good fair, especially when they have lawnmower racing. My personal best is 72 miles an hour.
Oh, my.
I don't recommend it.
Who knew?
It's fairly terrifying.
Who knew that?
I decided I like my brain and the rest of, all my limbs, maintaining control of those, and that, maybe lawnmower racing wasn't my thing anymore, so. But there are a lot of opportunities for that to help draw the community together, and I think, that's one of the things that we want to support.
Yes, and celebrate our agriculture culture. Yeah.
You was talking about these bills and things that I've been kind of watching. There's another one I think you need to look at. It's HB 2641. It was passed last year, went through committees last year. This has to do with statewide housing targets. Requires localities to increase their total housing stock. And from what I gather on this, and the delayed effect on this thing doesn't start till like July 1st of 2026. So it's jumped all the hurdles and went through all the houses. I know the House had passed it. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure the Senate has passed it. But if this thing would go into effect, if the localities are not doing the housing that they need, the state can step in and require or do things to, accelerate that. Or they can say something in effect of, we don't agree with what you're doing there. And they're kind of be able to put their input, and that kind of takes a little bit away from the county localities. And I kind of watch this stuff, and like I said, there's a few things I'm still trying to track down, but I just thought you might want to look.
2641 was the bill number last year, right?
That's correct.
This year it was House Bill 804 and Senate Bill 488, and both failed this year.
Okay.
That was the statewide housing targets bills, unless that language was wrapped in somewhere else. But yes, that would have limited, again, some of your ability to control land
Duplexes,
use.
housing, single housing versus, more people per smaller property than, just like a single house, you put a duplex in. But I just thought it would take a little bit of control from the localities, so what I was looking at. I mean, like, we're going through this process for the ordinance on the zoning and things of that nature. They keep pulling the strings. We're not, we're not able to do, make decisions for the people of this county, and the state keeps trying to pass these things to take the control away from the county. That's what I keep seeing, and that's the reason I brought it up.
It actually was stricken today at the request of the patron in the Senate.
Okay. Thank you.
But, it's a sort of evergreen bill. It'll come back whether in this form or another form, because that is a state goal, is to, reduce impediments to housing development. They don't look at their stormwater management or their erosion and sediment control and how that impacts the development cost for new housing. They want to tell us that we can't limit to single-family housing or that sort of thing. I understand the higher density call, but, taking local land use decisions out of it is not good policy.
Anything movement on Blue Star?
They say they're still working. They're trying to find the funding. That's about all I can tell you there.
Anything else for Mr. Hankins?
Good.
Thank you. Next item is commissioner concerns.
I think we're done for tonight, sir.
If there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There we go.
Everybody in favor of adjournment at this time? March 2nd.
We're leaving.
And that concludes the March 2nd, 2026 meeting of the Wythe County Planning Commission. And our next meeting will be on April 6th at 6 p.m.